speaking of Tyrese Haliburton, there's been this narrative that I've seen being pushed by some people, and Steve Kerr actually had a quote. I don't know what he was asked exactly, but he said he sees a young Steph in Tyrese Haliburton's game, and that caused a lot of people to start talking online about, you know, what their thoughts are on how good Tyrese Haliburton is in comparison to Steph. And there's like a lot of people that are saying like Tyrese Haliburton is so much better, like so much more of a complete player, like all these things, which just shocked me at how many people are like off of Steph all of a sudden. But my thoughts on this, people are saying that he is Steph, but just with a bunch of playmaking and better defense and length and like all this stuff. It's like, okay, just because he's an incredible shooter and has really deep range does not make him equal to Steph Curry.
No, Steph, like, no disrespect to Tyrese Haliburton, but like Steph fundamentally changed how people learn to play basketball and what they work on.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
Tyrese Haliburton isn't Tyrese Haliburton without Steph.
No,
sure.
Absolutely not. Because like you're just gonna see like a bunch of people that everyone's gonna say, are they the best shooter ever? We're gonna have to hear it for the next like 15 years because of Steph Curry.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily make Steph better, but
no,
like,
it just like Tyrese Haliburton has had like 40 games where he's looked like an insane animal person, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, his
maybe
shooting numbers
so
far in his career, the way Tyrese Haliburton has shot puts him in an elite club, like really just him and Steph and maybe Dame on an island.
Clay?
Not like Clay's
the
like
volume?
It's not necessarily the volume, but more so like the fact that it's in isolation or off the dribble and like it's
different
pull-up
scenario.
threes, you know?
Yeah.
It's with the ball in his hands, can take and make his shot from anywhere on the floor.
Yeah.
Clay doesn't really have like shot creation as much as those guys, not even close really. So yeah, Tyrese Haliburton, like he has that, but what makes Steph so unbelievable is that he has the Dame thing, but even better, honestly, like the range and the capability to do everything that anybody can off the dribble. But then also when he's off the ball, he's literally like JJ Redick, and probably even better than him at the JJ Redick thing. Like he's better than anybody else at both of those things. At the off-ball three-point specialist, running around screens, utilizing his gravity off ball.
The dirty work of being a three-point shooter and being an all-star at the same time.
Yeah, he can do everything with the ball in his hands, and when he gives up the ball, he's always moving. People do not understand how unbelievably valuable that is, how much better that makes his team than if he were like Dame and would pass the ball and basically just kind of stand there afterwards. Like that's what separates Dame from Stephen Curry. I mean, Tyrese Haliburton isn't like one of those heliocentric guys that like doesn't do anything off ball, but he's nowhere close to Stephen Curry.
He's
like,
not Steph.
Yeah.
Granted, Steph is the mountain. Like Steph is like what we're trying to get to, or like what everyone should aspire to do in all facets of basketball. Is like the closer you are to Steph Curry, just the better you are at being a valuable basketball player.
Yeah.
But it's like Haliburton is good. He's like playing like a top 10 player in the league this year. This is not taking anything away from Haliburton, but to say like, oh no, and it's because of Steve Kerr, because Steve Kerr brings all the pain into my world ever. He just brings sadness. He's the one that started this by going in a post-game interview, well, I mean, he really reminds me of Steph.
Yeah.
I'm like,
which I think is fine to say.
Before you got there? No, that's the problem that I have is the years he was comparing, he wasn't even coaching Steph Curry at that point.
Yeah.
He wasn't there. He was just watching. How do you know how Steph was like in the locker rooms? You weren't in the locker room.
Well, he doesn't know what Tyrese Haliburton's like in the locker. He's just talking about his...
He's talking about from Team USA. The thing is, he was talking about like, well, when I worked with him at Team USA, he really reminds me of a 25-year-old Steph. I'm like, did you know Steph when he was 25?
Okay, but at least you can say that he reminds me of like what Steph is, but young.
I just am a Steve Kerr hater.
Yeah,
he
I think
Draymond
you're being a little bit hard on him for that. He literally has coached Steph Curry like for the majority of his career. I think he's able to say something like that. I don't think that's a problem.
I'm just a Steve Kerr hater because he enables Draymond, and he also is the reason that KD didn't go to the Celtics, and he's also the reason.
Really?
No.
Steve Kerr?
I just blame everything on Steve Kerr. The same way I blamed everything on James Dolan for a while. Just corner of shame.
Yeah. No, but Tyrese Haliburton, I understand the comparison of like he has deep range and he's just a pure shooter. Like he does not miss. So like in people's minds, people just equate that to Steph Curry. But like if you examine both their games, there's so much more to what makes Steph Curry than just simply that. So it's idiotic, honestly, for people to say when they're comparing the two players, just be like, since Tyrese Haliburton has shooting and deep range, then that makes him equal to Steph. And now we can add in all the stuff that Tyrese Haliburton has over Steph in addition to that. So it makes Tyrese Haliburton look like just by far the better player, you know? And it's like Tyrese Haliburton does not do everything that Steph does. He just doesn't. They're different kinds of players. And Tyrese Haliburton for sure has plenty of things, plenty of skills that is above Steph. I don't know if there's much else
Haliburton is
to
not
add.
bad, but stop disrespecting Steph Curry. That is where my heart lies.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on it is like people just need to stop having to like crap on one person to give one other person praise. Like
Me
why
included.
can people not do one without the other? You know? Like somebody was arguing not that long ago about Maxey versus Haliburton, saying that Maxey's like so much better. You know, it's like both of them are really good, but Tyrese Haliburton is probably better. But I mean, that doesn't make Tyrese Maxey not good. Like, he's very good also.
Philly people are also like a level of delusional that I can't comprehend in every sport. It's not just basketball. They're just like convinced they could be like a 4-13 football team, and they'll be like, we got a chance next year. We're gonna make some noise. Like, it's like Nebraska football.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Sounds like Nebraska
but it's
football.
every single Philly sport. They're just like, I don't know. Don't sleep on us. I'm like, or everybody could. They could sleep through halftime and still beat you. That's not the case right now because Philadelphia sports is very good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Tyrese Haliburton, one of my favorite young players in the league, not Steph Curry. They're different. Not to say there's no way that Tyrese Haliburton is the best point guard in the league at the moment. Not saying that's out of the question, but Tyrese Haliburton does not have every single skill that Steph has. He just doesn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there we go. Moving on now to another topic.